Thank you, Mr. Dejoniak. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a privilege to have with us the Honorable Minister of State for Civil Aviation, Mr. Jayant Sinha. May I invite the respected guest of honor to deliver his address.
My senior colleague in the Council of Ministers, Sri Suresh Prabhuji, Monsieur Dejoniak, Director General of IATA, colleagues in the ministry, Shri Chaubeji, Shri Mahapatraji, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to all of you. And I must say, I must add my congratulations to the extraordinary growth that we have been seeing in the aviation sector in India over the last 50 months, a track record that I think is unprecedented in global aviation history, to have grown at this rate and at this speed and have brought all these services across India to our passengers. So my warmest congratulations to all of you in the industry and the sector, and my colleagues in the ministry as well, for supporting this growth. Ladies and gentlemen, just before I began this speech, I was glancing through what IATA has put together as a forecast. And what they've said in the forecast is, yes, there's growth ahead, but we need to prepare for all of the challenges that we face. And I'd like to reassure IATA and members of the aviation sector that while IATA has forecast 500 million trips in the next 20 years and asked us to prepare for that, we are actually preparing not for 500 million trips in the next 15 to 20 years, ladies and gentlemen. We are preparing for 1 billion trips. So that's really how much we are thinking about the future, trying to anticipate what the issues might be, and with your cooperation and support, address them in a very proactive manner. Let me first emphasize and elaborate why I think we should prepare for 1 billion trips, not 500 million trips. The demand that we are seeing for air travel in India is extraordinary. Just yesterday, the Honorable Minister Shri Suresh Prabhuji and I were in Gorakhpur. Gorakhpur is in eastern Uttar Pradesh. It's a city we don't think much about, but it is a city of 15 lakh, 1.5 million people. And it serves a catchment area of eastern UP and western Bihar and the Terai region of Nepal that is probably some 30 to 40 million people. That's the catchment area for Gorakhpur. Now you might well ask, how many flights a day does Gorakhpur have if it serves a catchment area of 30 to 40 million people and is a city of 1.5 million people? The answer is 3 flights a day to Delhi. That's it. That's all that Gorakhpur is serving right now. And each of these 3 flights, actually, we have started in the last 2 years. A city of 1.5 million people with a catchment area of 30 to 40 million probably should have 30 to 40 flights a day, not 3 flights a day. And when you go there and you speak to people there, they tell you about the trains that are going full, the wait list on those trains to places like Mumbai, which, by the way, takes you 36 to 40 hours to get to from Gorakhpur. They tell you about trains that are going to Bangalore. They're telling you, which, by the way, takes almost 2 days from Gorakhpur. They tell you about trains to Delhi that you can't get a reservation on for weeks. That is the kind of demand that we are seeing right now for air travel in India. We have so many towns that are 1 million or more in size, where we barely have any flights. And the moment we open up flights there, and I just think of my own hometown of Ranchi, which is also a city of about 1.5 million people, we've gone from 10 flights a day about 3 or 4 years ago to 30 flights a day now, and each of those flights is packed. And people are thrilled and delighted to fly. So really the challenge for us in India is not demand. When we talk about 1 billion trips, it's not that we have to worry about the demand being there. What we have to think about is, can we have the necessary supply? Can we have the infrastructure in place to cater to those 1 billion trips? That really is our challenge. The challenge is not on the demand side. The challenge is on the supply side. And I quoted a number yesterday, which in fact has been picked up by the press, in Uttar Pradesh. And I said the reason why demand is so strong and the reason why everybody wants to fly now is because the value proposition, the price value equation for air travel in India is extraordinary, and it basically for long distance travel easily beats virtually any other form of transportation. And if you actually look at the price, ladies and gentlemen, the price of flying today in India, which is among the lowest in the world despite the high cost that Monsieur de Juniac was referring to right now, is somewhere at 4 rupees per kilometer, which is less than the price of taking an auto rickshaw. Now, it's true you won't take an auto rickshaw for 1,000 kilometers, but the point remains that it is a very affordable way of transportation. At 4 rupees or less per kilometer, people are traveling long distances in great comfort and safety, but at very affordable prices. And that's why we have unlocked this demand. That's why people want to fly. And now the challenge for us is to be able to meet the demand, provide the infrastructure, provide the safety and the security so that people can fly. And that's what we are working towards. And as I said, we are planning not for 500 million trips, we are planning for 1 billion trips. Now, as we think about this billion trips, as we think about this surging demand, what are the primary and major challenges that we want to address from a policy point of view? There are 3 that at least we are seeing in the ministry, and I'm sure the Honorable Minister will add his own details to these and more challenges. But the first major challenge is, of course, airport infrastructure. And that's why we have taken in the past, it was more of a 3 or 5 year view, we are now taking a 15 or 20 year view as far as airport infrastructure is concerned. And through the Nav Nirman, Next Generation Airports for Bharat program, we are actively planning for 1 billion trips. And what that means, of course, is 3 major efforts. One, how do we make our existing airports much more productive in terms of throughput, in terms of being able to process passengers, add aero bridges, a whole set of measures to be undertaken with our existing airports. Number 2, take our existing airports and add terminals. In Gorakhpur yesterday, we've just built a new terminal, we inaugurated it, but even with 3 flights, it's saturated. So it takes us 3-4 years to build a terminal by the time we get it commissioned. And when you're growing at 15 or 20% a year, by the time you build the terminal, it's already at capacity. So we have to continuously keep expanding our terminals, upgrading our terminals, and we are doing that. I think there are some 12 or 15 airports where we are building new terminals, and these are going to be beautiful, exquisitely designed, tremendously, engaging and very, very good from a customer experience point of view terminals, because we've really put a lot of effort into design and the aesthetic experience of being in an airport. So we're building new terminals in many of our existing airports. And in addition to that, of course, we are building a host of new greenfield airports, whether it's in Jewar, in Pune, Navi Mumbai, Patna, and so on. There's a whole host of new greenfield airports that are being developed as well. And as we build out these terminals, we'll start approaching the 1 billion passenger trips a year capacity that we need to work towards. And as part of this, as Monsieur de Juniac said, we have a consultation underway right now to figure out what is the best possible way of regulating new greenfield airports. And we've undertaken a year-long study to evaluate the experiences of airport operators and regulators around the world to see what is the best possible model for regulating these new greenfield airports. And we've proposed what we think is a transparent and innovative approach, which is to do it on a passenger yield basis. Obviously, we want to refine and iterate that based on your feedback and your input. That consultation process is underway, but we think that once we use that new approach, that people will be willing, particularly in the private sector, to step forward and make large-scale investments in these new greenfield airports. So that's a very important aspect of what we are doing to put in place the airport infrastructure. So Nav Nirman is the centerpiece of really developing the supply, developing the airport infrastructure so that we can meet the growth target of 1 billion trips. The second major area, ladies and gentlemen, that we are working on is really ensuring that the airline industry dynamics, cost structure, and regulation is as competitive, as stable, and as forward-looking as possible. And of course, there are a host of things we have to do, but right on top of that list is ensuring that we can get aviation turbine fuel into GST, and that we can deal with the number of anomalies that we have right now as far as the tax structure is concerned. Those discussions and representations have been made repeatedly by our ministry, by the Petroleum Ministry to the GST Council. It's under advisement with the GST Council. As you all know, that is a consensus process. It's not just the Ministry of Finance, Monsieur de Juniac, it's also all the states that have to sign up for aviation turbine fuel and GST. And of course, ATF for them is a very, very large revenue generator at the state level as well. So there are these complicated federal issues also that have to be sorted out to be able to bring ATF into GST. In addition, there are some other tax issues as well that we are working on. And we are trying to ensure that our airline industry has access to the widest range of financing instruments possible. So that's another area we are working on. But ultimately, the health of the airline industry, and I say this to colleagues from various airlines that are probably present here in the audience, across the world, the health of the airline industry is a function of the industry dynamics and the competitive strategies adopted by the various airlines. And you have different business models at play. There are business models that are very low-cost business models. There are business models that are hub-and-spoke business models with full services, with interline exchanges, with frequent flyer packages on top of that. And so each airline for itself has to define what is its strategy, what are the industry dynamics, and how does it want to survive and be financially viable. That is for each airline, each industry player to work on. Of course, as a ministry, our job is to provide a supportive policy environment to help you reduce your costs as much as possible, to provide you transparency and predictability. But ultimately, it is for each airline to decide what its strategy should be, what its financial plans should be, how it should be prepared for the future, and how much capacity and how many different types of pricing options it offers to its passengers. That really becomes a job for each industry player to decide. So we have to provide a supportive policy environment, and our hope therefore is that as we do that, the airline industry does well, earns a sound return on its capital, continues to invest in the future, and keeps adding to its fleet so that we can get to 1 billion trips a year. As I said, the demand is there. I'll come quickly to my third area that we are working on right now. And this third area encapsulates a variety of different things we are doing. But it comes broadly under the umbrella of technology. And what we are doing in technology right now, in terms of really upgrading our infrastructure and our operations, I think is quite remarkable. As you know, we have dispensed with baggage stamping. We are introducing DigiYatra as a way to be able to process people more quickly through airports. We are looking at introducing the most sophisticated advanced technology in our airports as well to get you through there as efficiently as possible, whether it is trays to process your carry-on baggage, whether it is digital boarding, whether it is enabling people to access the airport quickly. There's a range of things we're looking at the airports to increase throughput, and many of them come under DigiYatra. But there's another area where we've applied technology and we are continuously improving our capabilities, and that is in air traffic management. And I want to really commend what Sri Mahapatra and his colleagues are doing at Airports Authority of India through ANS. Because what we're doing right now in terms of air traffic management, air traffic flows, and building out our infrastructure is absolutely unprecedented. And we think, as we progress on this, we will have among the most sophisticated and advanced air traffic management systems in the world. And so that is something that is a very high priority for us. We are already experiencing a fair degree of congestion in our skies. They will, of course, continue to get more and more crowded as we go along. And so we need to make sure that when all these planes are in the sky, that we manage them effectively with the best technology and the best training and skills. So that's a second area where we are investing in technology, and we're working very hard to be at the global cutting edge. The third area that we're looking at, which of course also bears on this question of air traffic management, is in drones. We've just introduced a drone policy, which I think has been appreciated by everyone. It has led to Uber considering India for one of the 5 countries where they will launch Uber Elevate. We want drones to be made in India. We want the hardware, the software, the services that go along with a vast new ecosystem to be innovated here in India. But this is also very sophisticated technology. And this is also something that will have tremendous impact on aviation and aerospace going forward. So we are working very hard here with our entrepreneurs, our innovators, our academics, our researchers to build out a drone ecosystem and make it one that is right at the cutting edge and right at the frontier in the world. So that's another area of technology where we are innovating, where we are experimenting. Similar such efforts are underway in cargo as well, where we are looking to see whether we can develop an overall exchange so that cargo is available, logistics is available in a very efficient and streamlined manner, and so people can contract for those as quickly and efficiently as they need to. So that's another area where technology is being applied that also has required a lot of interministerial coordination with customs and various other ministries as well. Suresh Prabhuji, of course, runs in the Ministry of Commerce and Industry a special division on logistics, and we're very focused on supporting that through our cargo policies as well. So ladies and gentlemen, I'll end here. Our vision, as I said, is not just 500 million trips. It's 1 billion trips. And we are trying to put in place and working very hard to that end on all of the necessary infrastructure, all of the necessary facilities that will enable us to realize that goal of 1 billion trips. I know with your support, collaboration and inputs, we in the ministry will be able to overcome all of the issues and challenges that we will certainly face as we move forward. I look forward to helping and supporting you on all of that. Thank you very, very much.